Life has a funny way of trying to stop us from doing something when we make up our minds to do it. Whether it be stepping out to do something that you always wanted to do, or whether it's something that you just came up with an idea for. You start to do it, and life seems to just throw everything at you. Maybe it's because our thoughts from past experiences pop up to try to remind us that we can't do that. You've never done that before. What makes you think you can do it now? It's a really strange thing. That's the way our minds work. Maybe it's an habitual way of thinking. Maybe if you, maybe if that wasn't the case from the original standpoint of when you're a kid and you're going full force and you're dancing on the coffee table or, whatever you're doing, people would stop you and say, hey, that's not how we do things. But you're a kid, you don't know nothing. You're just having fun. You don't know the limitations and the boundaries of doing things as your traditional way of doing things. And then we become boxed into this idea based on the environment we're in. I'm sure if you were born into a family of, let's say, royalty, you would learn how to sit at the table, sit up properly. We eat this way. You talk this way. But if you were born in poverty and you've never seen anyone make any money, then that's how your thinking would be. Regardless of the situation that you were born into, we become like our environment. I like to say that if you put a pig around some sheepdogs and the pig watches the sheepdogs, there's a movie about it. The pig will become like the sheepdogs. It happens everywhere. If you put a tree next to a fence real close and the tree starts to grow, the tree will form around the fence. Well, humans are the same way. We're creatures of habit. We tend to do and continue to do the things based off of our environment and the things we see around us. But we're told that we're created in God's image. And as we know, God is infinite. So then that means that we are also infinite. There's no limit to the imagination that you have, the things that you can come up with for yourself, and the things that you can do. But I think we tend to get an idea and then we'll play with the idea and kick it around for a couple of months. Let's say we make it a couple of months and there's no results from that idea. So we fall back into the traditional way of thinking that this isn't going to work. I can't get out of here. This is not how I was made to operate. I grew up in a family that doesn't create things. And that's a trap because it's not the way things work. When you plant a seed for a tomato plant, if you take care of that seed and you water it, you make sure that you're doing your part to make sure that the tomatoes come out of the seed. When you plant the seed and the tomatoes will grow out of that seed because you planted one thing. You didn't plant a tomato seed and expect to get oranges. That's not how we do things. We know that. It's very simple. It's practical. You've seen it done. And that's a typical thing that you see. But when we think of the idea of ourselves, you can't see it. So we tend to think that it's not working. But I think it is working, and it's working constantly. And you can tell it works because if you can understand my words, then you can tell that you were born around people who speak English. You didn't speak English when you came into this world. You didn't speak at all. But you could still communicate because you could cry and scream. And you could let people know what was going on. And they had to interpret your screams or bodily actions to understand you. It's the same way with our mind. If you'll focus on what you want and water it and continue to nourish that idea, no matter the outcome, circumstance, right away, immediate, it will produce like its kind. If you have an idea to become a lawyer, you know the steps to become a lawyer. That's a typical thing. A lot of people do it. But let's say when Jeff Bezos created Amazon, it was just an idea in his head. He was the one that had to nourish that idea. He had to continue to take action on his idea. This is why I say that we're created in God's image, because God said, let there be light, and there was light. He created everything. And he created us. But when he created us, he said, let us make them in our image. Let us make them after our likeness. What does that mean? We can't see God. How do the ideas in our head work? They can either work by circumstance, that you think that you are like everything around us, or they're created based off of something deep inside of you from your heart. You feel that you need to do something. Maybe you've been working for a company for a long time and you always felt that you wanted to have your own company. You wanted to do things a little differently. Well, you can create it. Just like when you build a house, you have to, first off, get an image in your mind of the house you want, and then you have to create a blueprint for that house, and then, step by step, you start to create the house. I've always done concrete work. I didn't like doing concrete work. I mean, I like to work. It's noble work, you know. Working with your hands is a noble thing to do. But I didn't think that's what I was supposed to be doing. But outside circumstance didn't have any way of reinforcing the idea that I should be doing something else. But the thought never left my mind that I wanted to do something else. I noticed while doing concrete work that what concrete work is the foundation. If you don't build the foundation right, then whatever sits on that foundation isn't going to be right. If it's not square, if it's not level, if you don't put the anchor bolts in the right place, you're going to have problems later on. You may have to rip out the foundation and do it over. If you don't put the plumbing in the right place, you're going to have to rip it out and do this process over again. It's the same way with our mind. The foundation of our mind is how we see ourselves. And if you don't create the right foundation in your mind, your life isn't going to go how you want it to, and you're going to be stressed. You're going to have problems. You might have health issues. You haven't built the foundation correctly. This is why I say we're created in God's image. God is the image of perfection. Everything in nature, it knows what to do. The birds fly south at a very specific time. Hummingbirds go to flowers at a very, very specific time because they know when to get the most out of that flower. How do they know that? Well, God made them that way. He gave them everything they needed to be successful and live and thrive to the highest degree. When you plant an acorn in the ground, where does that big tree come from? It doesn't come out of the acorn because it's not in there. But still the tree grows. And it grows and it grows and it grows until it doesn't, it falls over. It lives for a very long time with no problems, unless it's in the wrong environment. You see how this is relatable to us? That our potential when we're kids is unlimited. You go 90 to nothing for as long as you can until you hit the floor and you fall asleep. But you never slow down. You're not worried about anything. Your imagination is going, you're having the time of your life until someone tells you something different. You're just all out. Ants work. No one tells them to work. Bees, workers. Everything is working full force except human beings. What is the cause of this? Well, human beings are the only things that can think for themselves. They're the only things that have free will to imagine anything they want. A dog can't do that. A dog isn't self-aware that it's a dog. It just does dog things. But humans, on the other hand, we start to look at ourselves and we think we're incapable. We think we can't do this and we can't do that. That's a false idea. Created in God's image. So if we started to see ourselves as the way God sees us, the way we're supposed to see ourselves, we'll have a different outcome. I got to thinking about this because I got a picture of my son, and he was at a baseball game, and he got a base hit. He got to first base, yeah. And I was standing over behind the dugout, and I gave him a double thumbs up, like, yeah, man, good job. And he looked back at me, gave me a double thumbs up, like, yeah, Dad, I did it. And I got to thinking about that. I was like, he saw me as his hero. But when I think about myself, I think about all these past experiences. And I start to doubt and I get depressed because I think that those circumstances that I went through previously have anything to do with who I am. And they don't. They have nothing to do with me. If I started to see myself the way he saw me, then I could probably actually do something. If I saw myself the way that God created me, with all the ability to imagine anything I want and follow my heart's desire, the deepest part of me that wants to be of service. I want to talk, I want to speak. Well, I have to face the fact that my habitual way of thinking before was I can't talk. Growing up, second grade, I got put in the special needs class. If someone asked me a question, I'd turn blood red and I didn't know what to say. It created an habitual way of thinking that I can't do this, I can't do that. I thought I couldn't read. I created that for myself. That was my imagined thought for myself based on outside circumstance. I think a lot of us do that. I'm always the guy that if you're around me and you say, I'm dumb, I'll be like, hey, you're not dumb. Don't say that. But it took someone else telling me that I had the worst attitude on the planet for me to start to think about that. But I did. I started thinking about it very heavily. Went through a lot of pain and lost a lot of things. But it taught me something. It taught me that you're not incapable. You're only incapable because you have made up your mind and you habitually think that. When you try to go and do something, it doesn't get immediate results. Nothing gives immediate results. You got to keep nourishing, keep pouring it on, keep looking at a thing. And that's what I did. I started looking at myself, not just the negative aspects. I started looking at the positive aspects. What do I feel? I feel deeply. I'm a very passionate person. I care about people a lot. Maybe it's because I was hurt so bad by all these people that didn't have someone to teach them that they too are capable of doing so much greater things. But it was like a tradition of thinking that we're incapable. We're not incapable. It's outside circumstances. And just like it says, created in God's image, we're also told that we don't walk by sight. We walk by faith. And faith is the substance of things unseen. Your imagination is unseen. You should believe in that. You should focus more on that than what you see outside here. It's just like going to the gym. If you make up your mind that you're going to get in excellent shape and you start to go to the gym, you get real tired, it starts to hurt, you don't see any results. It's been 2 months, you haven't got any results. The only problem with that is you didn't create the image in your mind of what you want to look like, and hold on to it. Look at it, constantly look at it. Keep coming back to it. Every morning when you wake up, you think about, I'm in the best shape of my life. Every night before you go to bed, I'm in the best shape of my life. Do it for a couple of years. Continue it forever. I'm in the best shape of my life. You see, when we follow the conditions of outside circumstance, we instill that every day because that's what we're looking at. So based off of what you look at is going to be the result that you get. If you keep looking at what you want instead of where you came from, you're going to start to create a different reality for yourself. You can create a picture of what you want. You can write it out, the description. You can study. You have that ability. It may not be easy at first, but we're not talking about easy. We're talking about the way everything operates. And the way everything operates is it fulfills its purpose to the max degree except human beings, because we are the only ones that have the ability to think and be self-realized. We see ourselves. We're aware of our own nature, but we don't pay attention to it. If we would pay attention to the fact that I love people, I feel very strongly about whatever you think. If you have kids, you probably love those kids very deeply. You want the best for them. In my personal opinion, I think I want my kids to do better than I am. But in order for them to do better than I am, I don't need to tell them what to do. I need to do the best I can. I need to grow and develop into the best person that I can be. I need to push further. I need to get into the best shape. I need to leave a trail, a path, a highway for them to follow behind. That's how it works. It's an image. If they can watch you become something and know how you did it, and you know how you did it, then you can teach it. But if you've never done it, how are you going to teach them? They're going to follow what you do. That's what we do. We follow the circumstances of the outside world. If you were born into royalty, then you're taught how to do that. If you're born in poverty, well, that's what you learn. If you'll create an image in your mind of what you want, and you'll look at it, you become what you surround yourself with. In the Bible it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Where's your heart? It's deep inside. It's the core. It keeps everything running. It's your soul is what it's talking about. As you think in your soul, I'm not talking about logical thinking. I could think, I want to be a dragon. I'm not going to become a dragon. That's silly. It's got to be practical. Practical is an image. There's no impractical image that you can create in your mind based on the nature of what you are. You're not going to become a dragon just because you think in your soul you're a dragon, okay? There's a limit to it. Let's not be bizarre here. If it's in human capacity to do it. Christopher Columbus said, I'm going to sail the seas and discover a new world. Everyone thought he was insane. He did it. The Wright brothers, they said, I'm going to fly. Everyone thought they were insane. What happened? They flew. If you can perceive an idea in your mind and work at it, you will attract everything you need to do that. Where does the tree come from? From the acorn. It attracts everything it needs to become several hundred feet tall. How does that happen? I have no idea. I just know it works. You will perceive yourself as what you want to become, and you focus on it. Where your energy goes, where your focus goes, your energy goes. So if you pour more focus into negative thinking, you're going to keep getting more negative thinking. But if you'll focus on becoming something, and it's all an image, you have to write out a written description. If I hold this up, you know what it is. It's a pen. Your mind realizes that. But if I said, I make $1 million a month, I never made $1 million a month. But if I focus on it every single day for long enough, it will attract everything I need. I didn't know how to speak English when I started into this world. But by being around it, that's what I learned how to do. It's the same way with your idea. If you'll write down an idea of what you want, it's just like playing football. If you played football, if they had an NFL team go out to an open field, we'll just call it 50-acre field. There's no goalposts. There's no lines on the ground. They go play football. How are you going to play football? There's no goal. There's no thing to strive for. It doesn't make any sense. It's the same way with us and our minds and what we think about. You set an end directive to yourself and you focus on it and you work on it. You will get it. It's by law. That's the way everything works. I'll read you a quote here. It's from Think and Grow Rich. It says, truly, thoughts are things, and powerful things at that, when they are mixed with definiteness of purpose and persistence and a burning desire for their translation into riches or other material objects. What does that mean? Thoughts are things, and powerful things at that, when they're mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their translation into riches or other material objects. It doesn't have to be money, it can be anything. You have a burning desire to do something. Mix it with persistence. That means you constantly work on it. And I'll tell you, one of the hardest things to do is think. You look around, and everywhere you turn, there's a distraction. We learn it in social media. You just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Every 3 seconds, you have a new idea in front of you. It'd be like planting a tomato seed. 3 seconds later, you dig it up, put a carrot seed in there. 3 seconds later, plant an acorn. 3 seconds later, what are you doing? You're never going to get anything. That's how your mind works. It requires persistence. You have to choose one thing. You have to strive for that end result. You have to work on that one specific thing. Day in, day out, every day. Burning desire. It has to come from within you. It doesn't matter what it is. What you focus on is what you get. If you're focusing on not having things, you're going to continue to not have things. If you're focused on the fact that you get sick every year around the same time, you're going to get sick around that time. You've programmed your body to become that thought. You have an image of it. That's what you're used to. It doesn't matter what it is. You change the image in your mind, you change the image on the outside. I heard a guy say, he said, you don't change your kitchen by painting the outside of the house. That's not how it works. But when you go to do something, I noticed this, a lot of people, when they start to go to the gym, they'll buy everything they need. They think they need. They'll get all the accessories for gym. They'll get all the gym clothes. They'll get all the shaker cups, all the supplements. But they didn't change the image in their mind about who they are. How are you going to get any results if you don't change the image of who you are in your mind? You're not. You can buy anything and everything you think you need to change and do the things you think you need to do, but you don't need anything except an image in your mind and to focus on it constantly with persistence and a burning desire, because our thoughts are things, and they're the most powerful things on the planet, because humans are the only things that can use that, and God created all things, and God is all things. So that means you're unlimited potential. You are an unlimited source of potential. You are an unlimited source of potential. Whatever you choose to think about all the time is what you're going to become. That's just the way it is. All the great thinkers of the world have said that, but it takes persistence and thinking about that to understand it. You can't understand it by just passing it by. I bought the book Think and Grow Rich 8 years ago, and I thought, this is stupid. How could someone think and grow rich? It doesn't make any sense. I passed the book by, and I was like, I read it, but I didn't have any idea what it was talking about. It didn't make any sense. I thought it was stupid. Now, after looking at it for 8 years and thinking about it, I get it. Thinking is an image. Words create images in your mind. Music, it's all vibration. It's just energy. And it images, and it attracts what it needs. It's like a tomato seed. It's energy. How else would it attract all the particles needed to create a tomato? Where does the tomato come from? It's in harmony with that vibration of that seed planted in the ground, because God is infinite and He created this system this way. And He told you that you are the most powerful form of that creation. He gave you dominion over all things. That means you have dominion over your mind, and you can think however you want to think. But you got to be careful. It has to be in alignment. Everything that you do gets a result. You got to make sure you're doing things that are going to get the results of things that you want. Because no matter what, you're going to get a result for what you're doing. So make sure you're in harmony with your thinking You're watching it. Pay very close attention to what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're listening to. You notice that when a company wants to sell something, they don't just put out one commercial and hope that they get it. No, they put commercials everywhere. Coca-Cola. If I say Coca-Cola, you get an image in your mind because Coca-Cola made sure that they got their name out there with an image and a taste and an idea. They planted that idea in your mind. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what Coca-Cola is. That's how it works. Persistence. You have the same ability. We all do. We can create anything. You want to raise at work? Pick the raise you want. Pick the position you want. Hold that image in your mind. See yourself as already there. And then continue to hold that image. And you will attract every idea that you need. And it will start to work through your life. That's the way everything works. Look around. You can see it everywhere. If you like this, leave a comment, like, subscribe. I'm going to be posting more. We'll continue this. I'm still growing. I'm very fresh at this. So we're going to get better. We're going to create a new idea of ourselves. We're going to grow together. I hope you have a wonderful day and hold that image in your mind. Create a new image of yourself because you are an unlimited source of potential. Quote to leave you with is, God can't do for you what he can only do through you. Remember that.